Hi everybody, welcome to this episode number 3 of our Antarctica Dream to Reality step-by-step guide, and this is especially for the people who are comfort minded. Now in this episode we'll be talking about two different things. One is going to be when can you go, like the time of the year, and the second and the most important thing that most people are interested in knowing about is how much it costs. Okay, so let's dive into it. Well, let's talk about when can you go. Well, you can go from end of October up to first week of April. But as you can imagine, the weather won't be that good during those end of the season timing because either it's end of the winter or beginning of the winter. Now, when I say good, doesn't mean warm and cozy weather. It is, reasonable enough for Antarctica. So for the best weather, I recommend going in either December or January. You're going to get the best weather. The trade-off is when it's the best weather, everybody wants to go, so the prices are high. So depending upon your budget, you can decide whether you want to go in the best time to go or maybe shoulder season. Either way is fine because you're going to get great experience there. So now let's talk about the money. Everybody wants to know how much it's going to cost, and I can tell you that this is going to be the biggest investment as far as the travel is concerned in your life, but it's going to be all worth it. And I'm going to divide expenses or the cost into different category, and I'm going to touch upon each category, and I'm going to talk based on my circumstances, meaning thereby I live in Atlanta, so I'm going to talk from Atlanta to Antarctica. Now you live in different part of the world, then the expenses may be a little bit different. The first category I'm going to talk about is the plane tickets. Okay, that is the second biggest expense that you will probably incur during this whole Antarctica dream to reality process. So I live in Atlanta. So from Atlanta, we had to go to a major city, okay, which is Santiago, Chile. And then from Santiago, you have to go to either Punta Arenas in Chile, or if you are taking Argentina route, then you go to Buenos Aires or any other major city in Argentina. And from there, you go to Ushuaia. From Atlanta, our ticket costed us around $1,300 per person, me and my wife, so $2,600 total return ticket. And then from the major city, like for us from Santiago, Chile to Punta Arenas, Chile, it's a 3.5 hours flight. So it was around 350 something per person. So total, I would say, $1,500-$1,600 per person. The next expense is pre and post cruise hotel and the food. Typically the cruise, or like what we did, was we took a flight from Punta Arenas straight to King George Island. So either way, you are going to reach the gateway city, which is either Ushuaia or Punta Arenas, a day before. So count that money when you make a budget. So it will be around $150 per night. Yes, they know that you need the hotel, so it won't be cheap. And this is the Hotel Diego de Almagro. And the food, whatever your preferences are, it's not going to be a big expense, but you have to consider that in the budget. So that is the second category of expense. The third category is the most expensive one, right? The cruise itself. Depending upon your luck and depending upon your choices, the prices can vary from $5,000 all the way up to $35,000. So it's a big range, like the basic cruises that departs from Ushuaia or Punta Arenas, the basic, standard, it can cost $6,000 to $8,000 per person. And then if you go to intermediate category, it can cost around $8,000 to $12,000, maybe $15,000. And then if you want to go for luxury cruises, it can range from up to $35,000 to $37,000 per person. Yes, per person. And it also depends upon how many days you are taking, because the one that we took, ours was like a charter flight from Punta Arenas to King George Island, and the cruise was in the Antarctic Peninsula, which I will talk later on. So ours was a different package, and ours included the chartered flight as well as the cruise that we took. And if you take from Ushuaia, it can be 10 days, 12 days, 23 days. Some people take the cruise that includes other islands and other part of the Antarctica too. So depending upon that, the prices may vary, but be prepared to spend at least $7,000 to $8,000 minimum per person, which is kind of a rare to find that good a deal many times. So I would say be prepared for $10,000 per person for the cruise part, which is the number one expense in the whole process. That's the bus that's going to take us to the airport. Time to board on these Antarctic Airways. We are at Punta Arenas domestic airport. That's the departure gate for Antarctica flight. Passport. Hola. Buenos días. Thank you. This is what we have been dreaming about for a long time. So we came from behind that. There is the airport, and this is the base. You can see some people live here. That's St. George Island. Helicopters park here, and we are going to dress up like this. They're going to provide us with this, and then we're going to take this Zodiac to go to our ship, which is right there. I don't stand up. I just sit down and slide. That's our ship for the voyages. Approaching that. Okay, so this is the fifth floor, and our room is 541. Entering the room, this is the bathroom, very nice shower and spacious bathroom. Wow. And here is the storage area for life jacket, and this is the closet for plenty of space. Just came from the reception area. This is bed, nice sofa, and here is the view, $1 million view of Antarctica. And that's actually National Geographic expedition ship sitting there. Then the fourth category is your gears and clothing, right? You are going to be in Antarctica, so you have to be prepared for it. So obviously you're going to buy the stuff before you go. So it starts with thermal clothing, then next layer is like this one. Then on top of that, you're going to have sweaters and jackets. And then on top of that, you're going to have parka, the big heavy jackets that you wear when you are on the ice and snow walking around. Most of the cruise line actually provide those parkas, and Atlas Ocean Voyagers that we took, they provided us, and it was great, and it was like a souvenir that you can bring home. But check with your cruise line to see if they're actually going to provide you the outermost layer, the thick one, and then you have to have a wet boot. For us, Atlas provided it, so we didn't have to buy those wet boot. You have to wear those when you go out on the landing. Like when you go on the land, you have to wear those because it's wet and icy and snowy. So that you have to buy, and then obviously you have to get the gloves and the head covering and the scarf and key mask if you want, whatever you prefer to keep yourself warm. And then hand warmers you can buy, and obviously the socks. So everything that you would think of to prepare for a cold weather. So everything is going to cost money, right? So if they don't give you the parka, then the budget could reach up to $2,000. Okay, so be prepared for it. But most of the time you get the parka from the cruise line, so be prepared to spend at least $1,000 on your accessories and gears and the clothing. So that is another big expense. Then the next expense is on board. Okay, like many cruise lines, they have packages where alcohol and drinks and everything is included. If that's the case, you don't have to worry about it. But if you like to drink wine or Coca-Cola or all those sodas, then that you have to count those as an extra expense. For us, everything was included, so we didn't have to worry about it. But it varies with the cruise line and the pricing you are getting. Sometimes they include it, sometimes they don't, so it all varies. But if it does not, then be prepared for extra, maybe I guess $30, $40, $50 a day for those premium packages. Okay, then obviously Wi-Fi, right? This is the age of staying connected, and you'll be surprised that we actually had a Wi-Fi on board on the ship, not on the land, but on the ship through Starlink, and they charge us $35 a day. Yes, $35 a day. But I can tell you, it was all worth it. Like in the middle of nowhere in Antarctica, you could be watching Netflix or YouTube in a full speed, no buffering, nothing. It was amazing. So if you are like me who want to stay connected and share whatever is happening around me with the people that I love and care in the real time, then yes, you will spend money on the internet. Then there are add-ons, like you are an adventure person and if you like to camp in Antarctica, yeah, they have a one night where you can go out and camp on the glacier, while the rest of us just spend night on the cruise ship. There's no night as such because it's a summertime, so it's more or less 24 hours a day. Maybe around 2 o'clock it becomes like a twilight zone, and by 4 o'clock there is a sunrise. So you don't actually spend the night, but yeah, you spend some time camping, and those things, those activities can cost up to $200 to $300 per person. Yes, it's not cheap. Same thing with kayaking. If you like to kayak in Antarctica, Southern Ocean, which is a great thing, then it will cost you around $250 to $300 per person. Yes. And the interesting thing is that they are sold out. You have to put your name in the waiting list many times if you want to go for it. So it's not like even though it's inexpensive, there are people who really want to do it because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Then people sometimes do snowshoeing, or there are some photography workshops. So everything that you add is going to cost money. Okay, so it all depends upon you, how much you want to spend extra. So the next comes is tips and gratuities, because you are in the cruise, so that's a standard practice. Like our package actually included that, so we didn't have to pay extra. Obviously we gave some money to the people who were in constant contact with us every day, but be prepared to pay around $15 per day per person as a tip to the staff. It gets distributed amongst everybody. That is something that you should budget for. It's not a big deal if it's a 7 days cruise, it's around $200, but still everything counts, right? So just part of your budgeting. The next comes airport transfer. Like when you land at the gateway cities like Punta Arenas or Ushuaia, from there to the hotel, it's going to cost you money. It's not that much money, maybe $10-15 at the most, but that is an expense that you have to consider when you are planning for your trip budget. One of the most important expense that you wish that you will never have to use it, which is medical evacuation and travel insurance. Okay, you are in the middle of nowhere with no medical facility except a small clinic inside the cruise. Actually, I went there, I saw the clinic, I talked to the doctor also. What's your name?
Trifon.
Oh yeah, Dr. Trifon. Okay, nice to meet you. So where are you going?
Pleasure cruising with us.
This is the cruise doctor from Bulgaria. Not a big place, so minor things they can take care of, but if you have a real emergency, you will need evacuation. That is when this insurance comes handy. Okay, for us it was $450 per person, so $900 for me and my wife. That we bought it actually through Atlas when we booked the cruise, because it was easier, and I compared the prices with Allianz directly, and it was more or less same thing. So for the sake of convenience, we just bought it from the same agent that we bought the cruise package. So I highly recommend to buy the travel insurance, and hoping that you will never have to use it. So the next expense, which is kind of an optional expense, but most people end up doing that, which is extending the vacation. Like some people go a few days before, or some go after, to whatever the major city that they first reach. For example, either you go to Buenos Aires or Santiago. Some people say, well, let me go 3 days early and see the city, Santiago. What we did, after we came back, we took a flight back to Santiago, and we spent 2.5 days in Santiago. Just landed in Santiago de Chile. Now going to Immigration and Custom, and we saw the whole city, and went a little bit around, and we had a good time. So, but that cost money, right? So the Airbnb for 2 nights actually, and the food and other stuff, not big expense, but if you're going to extend the vacation, please count that money in the budget too. So we're heading towards Plaza de Armas. Plaza de Armas, subway station. So you come down this way, and it's like they have some function plan for tonight. This is the Santa Lucia area, and this is the Santa Lucia Craft Center. That was Willie. We stayed our Airbnb in Santiago, Chile, and now we are going to the airport. It's 8 o'clock, 8:10 p.m. So I hope you got the clear picture about different categories of the expenses and how much you're going to spend roughly. It's not an exact numbers. If you have been to Antarctica, do let me know in the comment section what category you spent how much money, because that will be great to kind of compare, because everybody takes different route to go to Antarctica and different cruise lines, so the numbers will be kind of all over, even though it will be in that range, but would love to know in different categories. And while you're doing that, hit that like and subscribe button. If you can share the video with somebody who is as fanatic about Antarctica like you and me, that would be awesome. Okay, so thank you for doing that, and I'll see you in the episode number 4 on this series of Antarctica step-by-step guide for comfort-minded people. This is Dr. Rakesh Shah, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you.